This conference will now be recorded.
There we go.
Okay. All right. I'd like to start the meeting of the Design Review Board special session via GoToMeeting, November 18th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m., City of Bisbee. And I'd like to do roll call. Peter Gaffer.
Present.
Stephen Green.
Yeah.
Yvette Ponte. Oh, you're muted. Here.
I'm here.
Ben Lepley here. Sean DeCramer.
Here.
Oh, Linda Sentinel. Oh, I always do this.
Here.
Sorry, Linda. I want it next time. And Leslie Johns. Not here. Okay. Okay. So actually, this agenda does not have the usual bylaws in them that I normally read straight from the page.
It's a special session.
Okay.
So we don't have any of the normal applications that you approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So because it's a special session, I would like to go with essentially the usual protocol, which is we go down the list of agenda items. I'll call them, and then we will. I will introduce each item, and then if there's anyone to talk on those items, that person will start and kind of give an overview. And then we'll go through various items and attachments that may have been provided to us for each items. And then each committee member will talk and we'll have a discussion. And then we will vote if something's approved or not, or make a motion at the end, and then we'll move on to the next agenda item. Does that sound okay, Teresa?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. So the first agenda item is actually selection of chair or vice chair for the DRB. So does anyone want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion based on the experience and specific training and knowledge of Ben Lepley to propose him as being chair.
Okay, I would accept that. Is there any other proposals for chair or
Hello?
a second?
Hi,
Yep.
this is, can you see me?
No, but I
Okay,
can hear
sorry.
you.
Okay, I thought the meeting was at 6. I do apologize.
Okay. Yeah, who is speaking?
Not perfect.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we've already started. But right now we're in the middle of a motion that's probably not related to. Oh, actually it is. Sorry. Yeah, Scott, perfect. Okay, you're here. So we're in the middle of electing a chair, and then we're going to move to vice chair. So Peter Gaffer made a motion, and we're seeing if there's any other nominations or a second.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Sean DeCramer for chair.
Okay. Okay. Sean, would you take that position? Would you be willing to?
Yeah.
I move to make a nomination for the chair as well. And I'd like that to that be Ben.
Okay. I guess what we could do, seeing as we've both been nominated and both been would be willing to accept, is maybe to do a vote. I guess for my nomination, if it doesn't pass, then Sean's. Does that seem okay, Teresa, or what do the rest think about that?
Or do folks want to vote in the chat and just let me know
Okay.
who they prefer?
Yeah, there's a chat window. Okay.
And then I can count them up, perhaps? That seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations?
Where's the
This is
chat?
This is specifically for
Chair, yeah, and then we'll move on to vice chair.
Right, but where's the, she said to put it into the chat and then keep tallying them?
Yeah,
Where's
at
the
the
chat?
top right. At the top right,
Yeah.
there's a little bubble
Just a note, you can select who it's directed to so that it automatically on mine elected to send it to everyone. So there is a drop-down menu on my computer where you can elect to send it to Teresa only if you wish.
I'm not seeing this.
So on the top right, there's a white bubble that's like a cartoon speech bubble.
Okay,
And
I see
then
that.
yeah, you click on that, it opens up a chat window, and then at the bottom you just select Teresa. And yeah.
Okay, I've got that. And so we're not, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're not being vocal here. We're just submitting our votes via chat. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a little less awkward. And then after this, we'll move on to vice chair.
So we only vote for one, presumably, so that way we won't have a tie.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I have everyone. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna have to just write these in the margin here so I can keep track. And then let me go back to Peter. Peter, I don't see that you voted.
I did.
Uh,
To everyone.
Oh yeah.
how about just message me?
Oh, how do I do that? Everyone? Are you everyone?
No, at the bottom you can select her. Her name should actually be in bold. At least it was for mine.
Peter, do not reply all.
Too late. It's all right. He's the one that made
see.
the motion, so we know. Anyways.
I see. Okay. All right. So, how's that?
Let me see. Peter. No, I still don't see it. And then.
So since I proposed Ben, can we take
Ben? Okay, sure. And then is Stephen Green there?
Yes, I'm here.
And did you send me a message? Oh, let's see.
No, I didn't. I'm audio only tonight.
Oh, okay. All right. So do you want to let me know who you would vote for?
Well, we got two two proposals.
Yes.
I'm actually going to abstain.
Okay. Okay. So then Ben did receive the most votes for chair.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll take it. And for vice chair, do we have any nominations?
I'd like to propose a nomination. I'd like to nominate Linda Santillanes for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Shonda Kramer for vice chair.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, so let's do the same process and text Teresa and
Okay, let's see. Oh, I went back to the wrong place. Okay.
Stefan, did you want to vote this time, or you'll abstain here, or?
And John received the most votes for vice chair.
I'll accept.
All right. Very cool.
My thanks and congratulations to you both.
Congratulations, everyone.
Cool. All right. Okay. On to agenda item 2. Discussion and possible action to be taken regarding failure to comply with zoning regulations, fees and fines for Bisbee Vogue and Justin Luria in regards to obtaining permits, failure to complete applications for the screens at 1 Sequality Hill, railings at 201 Tombstone Canyon, stairway murals at multiple locations. That's for Bisbee Vogue. And for Justin Luria, original permits and murals at 54 Brewery Avenue. I have a question for Teresa. These on here, it looks like 2 parties. Is this for the same organization, or?
Where
I'm a
it
little
says,
confused.
yeah, where it says 2 times.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're asking about?
No, it lists Bisbee Vogue, and then but it also lists Justin Luria. So I'm just wondering.
Yes, we have two different individuals with failure to obtain permits.
Okay, but they're the same action agenda. So,
well, it's discussion and possible action taken regarding failure to comply with zoning regulations. So you can take them one at a time, but they fall under that same agenda item.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, because they both have murals, and they both didn't have permits, so, or applications for DRB. So that makes sense in a way. Okay.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is that there was a discussion the last DRB meeting about murals specifically, and whether or not the DRB has jurisdiction on murals versus signage. Murals being the definition of a mural is non-commercial, generally not text, and there's no commercial thing. It's art or patterning or something like that. That's not just painting a wall with a solid paint color or painting trim. It's more than that. It's a picture or pattern or art, but it's also not advertisement, right? So whether or not we have jurisdiction of that, I think is pertinent to both applicants, which is why I think these are under the same agenda item. And we do have some letter from Andrew Laws in regards to murals. We do have photographs of those, and we have email from Joe Ward in regards to that, and we also have highlighted actually 2 emails from Joe Ward, and also in the agenda itself, I think Teresa, you've highlighted some duties and responsibilities in regards to the Bisbee Arts Commission in regards to art, which in my opinion, murals fall under art and not signage. And that is on page 13 of the PDF for the special agenda packet.
I'm confused. Are we talking about agenda item 2 or agenda item 3?
Well, it seems that perhaps these 2 agenda items might actually should be reversed. Is that possible to do, Teresa?
Oh,
so that.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know that you need to reverse them right now because currently the regulations are the regulations. So they have not changed. They are what they are right now. So these 2 cases would be subject to the current code. Your next discussion is, do you want to recommend changes to the code?
Okay.
So I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Can I ask a couple of questions, Ben?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead a bit.
So I think under agenda item 2, the first item is Bisbee Vogue. And it looks like the 3 topics are screens at 1, Sea Quality Hill, railings at 201, and stairway murals. And what we're discussing is a retroactive permit for those 3 things. Am I correct? That we're discussing that there wasn't a permit for Bisbee Vogue and we're trying to retroactive that for those 3 items, the screens, the railing, and the stairway. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, Yvette, this is to talk about requesting that those applications come in. So we did receive an application for the railing. That will be on your next agenda.
Okay.
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 So that's not part of this discussion.
Well, the discussion would be that, yes, now the application is in for that one item.
Okay. And then the screens, we're referring to the ones at the church?
Yes.
Okay. And then the stairway murals, are those the ones that have been around like forever and a day? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So how far back do those murals go? I'm just thinking that I've been here at least 3 years and I've seen those. So why would those be coming up now? Why wouldn't those have been addressed many years ago, prior to 3 years ago?
Right. I can't answer that. But I think at the end of our last meeting, there was a comment made by one of the members about including those in the discussion.
Oh, okay. I thought everything about murals was moving forward with the new guidelines, moving forward into the future, not necessarily something that has been pre-existing to this period of time.
Well, this has to do with murals that were painted without applications to DRB under the current guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a question on the stairway murals at multiple locations. One, I was reading the zoning ordinance on murals and also signs. And one thing I noticed in there is there is a distinct designation between what a mural and a sign is. And a mural is purely a artistic piece of art. A sign is something that is referencing a business, advertising for a business, etc. And I did notice in the zoning code that the department that is supposed to make the distinction between those two is the Bisbee Business Development Department, which is no longer in existence. So who then makes that jurisdiction? Because the stairs are not murals, they're actually signs. And the sign code has been in governance for a significant period of time, for a very long time, whereas the mural code has only been in existence for a couple of years. So my question is, technically, anything before this mural, the mural zoning code was adopted, is pretty much going to be grandfathered in from before. But the designation we have to make on the stairway, is it a mural or is it a sign? And according to the zoning code, the DRB does not make that designation.
Okay, and that would be, the department would essentially be your building inspector at this time.
Correct. So
Okay.
for me, stairway mural, I would like it to go to the building inspector for him to make a designation, whether it's a sign or whether it's a mural, and then have that come back to us and we discuss the topic.
Okay.
What's
I'd
the
also
proper
like to
order
add
of
to that,
talking?
if we can, I'd like to add to that, that I feel like we're writing new guidelines, and this is, again, moving forward into the future. If we start retroactiving things that have been in existence, I'm going to just throw out a number, 6 months or a year ago. We have a lot of work to do in this town because there are a lot of murals that were here for a year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And if we are going to apply this to one person, we have to apply it to every mural in town that existed a certain number of years ago. I thought the work that we were doing here with respect to murals is moving forward into the future with the new guidelines, not retroactive, something that has been here for some time. I also have an issue with the screens. I noticed that they have been changed to Dan screens. And I didn't see anything in our current guidelines that address really what windscreens are, what the rules are on windscreens. And I don't know as a board if we have grounds to move on that. They're not a fence and they're no longer a sign. seeming as how the logos have been removed. So I really wouldn't know how to address windscreens other than doing what Sean suggested, which is maybe referring to the building inspector or mayor and city council, because
Well-
I don't have anything clear cut in writing that says that we can address windscreen.
I would like to, right. Before, I would like both Cynthia and everyone that's come here to be able to talk to it to talk on that issue before we meet as a group, and discuss that part. I did appreciate the clarity that both you, Yvette and Sean gave towards what is a mural and what is a sign, because that is pertinent for, are we talking about agenda item 3 or agenda item 2? So that said, there are a few people here to talk on this issue. We've got Cynthia and Andrew Laws, you as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Teresa, if it's all right with you, I'd like Cynthia to be able to discuss this, and you can talk about any of the items on here and just the background.
Thank you, Ben. Hello to everyone. Yvette, Teresa, Linda, Peter, Scott, Sean, some of you I know, and some of you I do not. But it's a pleasure meeting you and whoever else is there that I cannot see. Yvonne Ward, maybe, or B1. Okay, so you all are a little confused. I'm a little confused because I don't know the agenda, but it doesn't sound like it would have helped me anyway because we can't tell the difference between 1, 2, and 3. First off, let me start with an apology. We're not putting in the applications for the railings. Let's just start there. It's simple, it's straightforward. I'm sure you've all seen them. So the reason I did not, and I apologize for not doing it, it's 2 or 3-fold. So let me just explain my experience. We were working very closely from January of last year, COVID, with Jesus Haro of Public Works, because we had a huge sewer problem and some conflict between what was the city's and what was ours. So he was over there a lot. I was there a lot. We had a lot of hired men, cost us a lot of money. I hired a guy who was very helpful to city workers because he's been doing sewers all his life. So that took a couple of months. And while there, I said to Jesus, hey, you know, I really would like to restore the driveway into this old 1904 building. He said, oh yeah, we're doing that up the street. He said, put in this and you know, you can do it. So for the next couple of months, we put in everything we were supposed to put in. We did that. And in conversation with, and you will forgive me, I'm an informal person. I'm amazed I'm even on the computer. I said, well, once we put that driveway in, and he came and he approved it, and it's really great. I said, we now have a safety problem. Now, having run the Bisbee 1000 as both its founder and president of a nonprofit, I used to be a UPS truck driver, and I used to be a probation officer. And I am a hyper vigilant person, and I'm very fearful for other people's as well as my own injuries now that I'm old. So I immediately noted that someone could come running down those stairs and turn right into the driveway, or the car backing out of the driveway. So I said to Jesus, hey, I'm going to put a railing here, which was an extension of a railing that had existed for years, again, without any request to anybody, because the short people that are here now were not there then, whatever. So he pretty much said, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense, fine. Now, was that permission? Probably not, but in my mind, because of the safety issue, because all the years I've been there, and those railings have now been there for almost a year, people fall off of that sidewalk, including myself. It's a 4-inch drop. The worst sprain I ever got in my ankle was a 4-inch drop. It'd be animal shelter where I did not sue anybody, but it was the same thing, a drop off of a sidewalk, sidelined me for 6 months out of my life, and I was a lot younger then. So back to safety. Those railings are safety features, number 1. Bisbee Bug Inc. owns the sidewalk. So therefore is also part of my confusion, because in owning the sidewalk and in talking informally to Jesus, I literally never even thought of the design review board, because what I put up was in line with the building next to me. Metal railings, keeping people from falling off of sidewalks, and there you have it. And so I have paid the $75 to get the pay. Oh, and then COVID came, so nobody did anything, including me. I hid my house for 3 months. Did some projects that were paperwork driven, built the NFC court. It worked with the city, wearing my mask. The point is that I just literally did not intend to break this rule or invoke any ire from you all. I have served on 3 different committees over 30 years. Not the design review board, but just about all the other things. Planning and zoning, parks and rec, blah, blah, blah. So I apologize. So that being said, I put in the form. You will get it. I paid an extra $75 fine for putting it in. We'll hear about it next week, but presumably it won't be a problem, and I won't have to come back on this computer. But that's the railings. That's the plain simple. Okay. Anybody have questions on the railings?
Yeah, I have a question on the property. So as an architect, I deal with property lines all the time, and right of ways. And sometimes a right of way is implied. Sometimes a right of way is actually documented with the city or with the county recorder as something that you have to legally give either the public or a neighbor. And so, yes, it's very common to own a sidewalk. Like, that's how all of New York City is. One of my clients on 57 Subway Street, which is the old Legion Hall, that sidewalk goes under the building, but there's no way he could ever put up a railing or block it, because he has an implied right of way that he has to give the public, because otherwise that sidewalk becomes a dead end. So that right of way may not have been able to be blocked if there's no other way for the public to go through. That's really a determination that both a surveyor and zoning should make,
Right.
or Joe Ward. Yeah.
Right. You're talking about prescriptive insurance. We have a very fine attorney, as far as I can tell, because we have not blocked entrance or egress or anything. In fact, people are now much more safely directed throughout that entire area. Pictures of them. They still can access everything. They just can't run into our driveway without at least noticing there's a driveway there, and they can't fall off the sidewalk. But we have not blocked any access to anything, and people walk up to our building all the time, and now they walk down the sidewalk in one direction, or they walk down the sidewalk in the other direction. We haven't blocked any access, just okay. And
I was out there today and I had a look at it. Sorry to interrupt.
So I have a question.
I did have a look at it, and there is a lot of right of way available. And I took a few pictures that demonstrate that it's still also handicap accessible to the front door from the street area.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Teresa?
Yeah.
And, are we here tonight to discuss the validity of the fence, the handicap access, any of that, or are we here to discuss simply whether or not fines should be, that we should agree to impose a fine because applications were not submitted? I feel like we're getting in the weeds.
Right. You'll discuss the application at your next meeting, so you do not need to discuss it here. And the discussion may have been,
sorry.
Did you want to request an applicant? Did you want an application to be provided for this item? And it has. And 2 times the application fee has been paid since it was not obtained beforehand. So that item is pretty much taken care of. There's no more discussion at this point about that. And so then you need to decide on the screens. Is that something you wanted an application for? And how would you move forward?
Can I
Right.
get a word in before you move
Yeah,
the screens?
exactly. Yeah, so I wanted Andrew to talk about the railing. I want to wrap up the railing thing and then move on to screens, and then we can move on to murals. And just keep those things, at least some form of organization here. So Andrew, I noticed that in your letter you talked about the railing, right? Same on 201 Tombstone Canyon. It's the same railing. So if you could limit your conversations about the railing for now, and then we'll move on to the screens
Sure.
next. Okay.
Okay, so I've lived in this address here since 1986. That has always been unblocked public access through there. When Cynthia acquired the building, I don't know how many years, it's been about 5 years, I guess, something like that. She immediately demanded that myself and the upstairs neighbor never park in front of her building again, ever. And all of this stuff with the railing, I mean, it's just incrementally trying to claim the city parking in front of her building. And the purpose of the railing is to make it so cars can't pull in quite as far. They put in, stop blocks, and then the stop blocks were moved even further out. On apparently the excuse is, well, now the sidewalk's blocked, so now we have to move the stop blocks further out to make a new walkway. Well, the new walkway area now is, a million times more dangerous than ever the sidewalk could have ever possibly been. It's an obstacle course for people to get to my shop. And the curb cut that she put in is not really to standards. It's very steep. And, I get a lot of old people come into my business, and it's really unsafe now. And there is only one place on the sidewalk where a wheelchair could have gotten up to the front door of 201 Tombstone Canyon, and that has been blocked now by the railing on that end, on the east end. And you can't really, there's no way anybody on a wheelchair could make it up that curb cut where they could easily, where it's blocked now. So, the whole safety issue is just a red herring of, her excuse to do all this stuff to basically try to claim all the parking out front, and basically to hurt me because, she's, yeah, anyway, that's my opinion on that. But, and then you look at you see the pictures I took where she's hanging signs on the railing. She's got a permanently welded on sign, kind of whatever it's called, sort of rack that she puts signs on. And the two no parking signs that are where, that's city parking in front of there. That's 16 feet of city property that has always been the parking since, hundreds of years, 100 years since cars were invented, has been the parking right there for the public. And so, by moving the stop blocks out so far out, you can't get your car completely on city property now. You have to be partly on the dirt she bought under the easement, the area that has been paved by the city and maintained for decades, 100 years, who knows. So, it's all out of character. The railing is really just part of her way of trying to claim all that parking. Yeah. So.
Okay. So that's the I guess the two parties here, the two factions, the two neighbors.
Here, I have just one quick thing.
Okay. Well, one second. One second. We got multiple people talking. Linda, raise your hand a little bit first, and then we'll go to Cynthia. Linda?
My question is for Andrew. Andrew, when I look at the photograph that you submitted where it has the Iron Man sign and then it has the garage at 201 Tombstone Canyon, is your business the one that's just left of that has the awning?
No, I don't have an awning. I would be on the right side, more east. Czar Minerals. And, you know, if you don't mind, I'd like to interject also that she doesn't park anything in that garage. I mean, certainly she could park a quad or, you know, a VW Bug or something tiny in there, but it's full of junk, you know, as far as I know. When the door's open, it looks like, you know, it's fine that she has a curb cut and there's a garage that could be parked in, but it's, come on, it's, you know, people back out across sidewalks everywhere. You don't put railings across sidewalks because you have a garage.
Ben, can I just interject here that
Yes.
we've gone beyond talking about requiring an application to
Okay.
actually discussing what potentially might be the application, and that's on your next agenda.
Okay. Great.
So,
I would
just
Can I say something?
okay, and then we'll go to Cynthia. Sorry.
Okay. Since we're here to discuss whether or not we want applications for these things, this is my thought process. One, I'd like to see an application for screens at 1C Quality Hill Road. Two, we already have the application for the railing at 201 Tombstone Canyon. And third, I would like for the stairway for the murals or the signs to be designated by building inspector, and that brought back to us.
Is that a motion?
And I would like to make that as a motion.
I'll second that motion. Stephen Green.
Well, can someone please repeat it because he broke up? I didn't hear.
So the motion is, I'd like to make a motion for agenda item number 2. 1, an application for screens at 1C Quality Hill Road. We already have the applications for 201 Tombstone Canyon, so disregard that. Third, send the stairwell murals at multiple locations to the building inspector to determine, according to zoning code, if they are a sign or if they are a mural. And if they are a sign, then that application needs to be brought before the DRB as well.
Okay, before you.
Could I say something about that before you vote on it?
No.
No.
I'm first here.
No.
Yeah, but we haven't got to discuss the other items at all.
No.
I didn't get
The
that.
board members.
Screens.
No, the DRB has a motion and a second. Now the members of the design review board may have discussion.
Oh, and we don't get to give them any information?
Not at this point.
But we can vote to.
Give me a break.
You can discuss this.
You don't
DRB
have
members
on the mural.
Yeah, no. DRB members need to discuss this motion and take a vote.
I'd like to make another motion.
Oh, you can't.
You can't. You need to act on this one.
Okay.
Okay, so okay,
Is it
I'll
one
do
motion or 3 motions then?
One.
Okay.
You have one motion
with 3 items.
with 3 parts to it. And Peter, I believe you were the second.
It was Stephen.
Stephen was the second. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
How many is that? 3?
4.
4. All in favor, all against, nay, nay.
Okay. Ben was nay. Okay.
That I already put in an application for the screen. You did not give them the information. They have just voted for me to put in an application that has already been put in. You didn't let me speak to the screens, including a letter from the church that you were supposed to put in these people's packet, which I would like to know if they've read the letter from Deacon Underwood. The screens don't have anything to do with BVI. So asking me to give you an application is not going to happen because I don't own them, I don't control them, and so you don't even have the information to proceed. And your city manager has failed to give you information that I sent in yesterday and the day before. So I have a real question here that how you all can operate as a committee, not allow me to clarify information that I have and make a motion that is, quite frankly, illegal at best, you know, and ridiculous space. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult you,
We did receive the
but
information
here's
from
the
the
letter.
parent.
Did you read the
Okay.
letter about the?
Okay,
I want to
Thank
know.
you.
I'd like to speak. That's why I voted nay, because I wanted to have some more discussion before we make a motion. That's why I voted nay, just to clarify my vote. But this is a board, so I can't speak to the others. And like what was said, once a motion is made and seconded,
And that's why I would like
That's
to
how it
make
goes.
a motion when I'm able to make a motion. Teresa, is there an opportunity to make a motion at some point?
That would be your chair.
Okay.
If your chair is looking for another motion.
Okay. Ben, can I make an
Um,
alternate motion?
yes.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to table this until all information is presented about what applications have been submitted or not, so that we all have all of the background information and history with which to make an educated decision. As far as the stairway murals go, I would like to make a motion to say that those are grandfathered in. And
Okay, now now
That's
that's
your
more
motion?
than one. So you
Okay.
want to table this entire discussion for more information.
for more information, yes.
Okay.
All three
So-
topics as to
Okay.
what was submitted when, so that we can review and move forward with more information and in an educational fashion regarding what to do.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that the stairway is not taken off. Because that needs to be determined whether it's a sign or if it's a mural, and that's somebody else.
Can I speak to that issue exactly?
No, we're
No, we
waiting
have a
for a
motion.
second. Waiting for
We had a
second.
motion, but you didn't have a second yet.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have a second yet.
They need to decide if they are gonna second that motion.
For more information.
Well, I don't have any problem with you tabling it,
Yvette,
but I do have some pertinent information.
okay. Well, yeah,
But
one second,
about
Andrew.
the permit, Andrew?
About the determining whether it's a mural or a sign. I don't know if everybody actually read what I wrote, but you're quoting, you're not quoting the zoning code correctly.
But
Okay.
we've all gotten all of the information, the letters, the attachments. We got that when you sent those, essentially.
But have you
Okay.
read it?
Right, and this is about requiring an application. Or
Yeah.
are you going to require an
Well,
application?
unless you guys want to vote on grandfathering it all, I don't know if that's still part of this motion, but then, that just,
No, that
takes
would
everything
have to be
away.
a discussion. This is only about whether or not they're going to require an application.
okay.
Yvette, did you want to respond to Linda's request about the stairway for your
Well,
motion?
I thought with my motion, for example, if the candidate feels that they already applied and there's applications that were in existence, which I don't have in my packet showing any applications. So what I am saying is it seems like there's some confusion here as to whether or not the candidate needs to reapply or either submit proof that applications were submitted at some point in time. As far as
Right.
the stairway murals involving the Bisbee 1000 stair climb, I feel that we are looking at something that is a retroactive situation that is from many years ago, from at least 3 years or prior, that have been in existence. And with that, I feel in that case, we have to go to every other mural in this town that date back, including the purple Jeeps, the fair store on the side of the brick wall. There are a lot of murals that have been in existence prior to 3 years ago. And if we are going to look at one person's mural from 3 years ago, we should look at all of them then and have a lot of work to do.
Okay, I just
Linda.
want to.
Okay, just a second. Teresa and then Linda.
Yeah,
and
Ben,
then
let me
Sean.
interject that I'm not sure that you can now table an item upon which you already took.
I think that might be, I think you might be right on that, Teresa. Because then the two motions are going to conflict between each other, which is what troubles me about doing a motion too quick before the discussion is done, because that causes conflict, which I don't like. There's already enough conflict as it is.
Right. And staff can work out the application detail for your packet at your next regular meeting.
Right.
Can I just say a clarifying thing, please?
Okay.
I've been here for 30 years. One clarifying thing. Just so you know about the murals, they already are covered under the existing mural code written by Ken Budge, and other people, and passed by the mayor and council. As a committee, you advise the mayor and council. The mayor and council not only approved the city park mural and the one other mural on stair number 5, which are the only 2 murals that exist on city property. They were done with the approval for the 20th annual, which means they've been in existence on city property for 11 years. The other murals are on private property, and you have no authority. You have no authority over murals on private property, and all you have to do is look at the law from all of the cities, including our own, that have tried to restrict murals. And in Old Bisbee, the commercial area, there's a building owned by Sloan Bouchevet, and 2 years ago, he put a muck rock on there. You want to know why it didn't come to the design review board? Because it's my understanding that Teresa Coleman administratively handled that mural that breaks the existing laws and codes. My Bisbee Vogue Inc. murals do not break any codes. We're done with the full permission of mayor and council, and no mayor and council can overturn them without being sued by our attorney. So leave our murals alone. They are legal. They're safe.
Well, they only cover the ones on city property.
Okay, we were only talking about requiring a permit.
Okay, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda.
I got, you know,
Okay.
there's,
Andrew,
you guys
Andrew?
are dancing around the pertinent point. I can make it very quickly. 7.83 mural art versus signage in the code. It says mural art that constitutes a sign. This constitutes a sign. It's advertising a business. It has words.
Okay.
It's not.
We've already made a motion and a second. Linda?
The only concern I have is that I know that there's been a name change. It used to be 1,000 steps. It no longer is 1,000 steps. It's Bisbee Vogue, and that was recent.
The 1,000 steps is the product they're selling.
Teresa, can I make a motion?
No, so here's the Ben, there already
We can't
was
make two motions on the same thing, right?
We can't.
Right, there was a motion, a second, and a vote. So you've already acted on that item.
Okay, so we really can't have any discussion that leads to anywhere from this because there's already been a motion and a second and it passed, right?
Exactly, and then staff can take it from here and get what you need on your next agenda for your regular meeting.
Exactly.
I would just like to inform the different parties, Cynthia and Andrew, to please get your documentation that you've already sent. If you have even stronger documentation, forward it to the city manager, please, and Joe Ward, please, especially if it involves mayor and council, especially if it involves things that are very specific, like what Andrew just brought up, that are clear. And it is very possible, and it's very Bisbee of these things to not line up at all and totally conflict, which case it might need to be adjudicated, which
we're happy to.
Okay.
I have another question.
Right, but we need to make sure all the documentation is at one source and sent to the same and adjudicate minutes and just send that to Teresa and to Joe Ward. That's not a motion. That's just my advisement, and that I will remain willing, of course, to keep listening in on all of you guys, but to please, from now on, please go to the DRB. I also want to say that Jesus Haro should have advised Cynthia to go to Joe Ward to pull a permit for the fence, like everyone else does for the railing. So that was out of Jesus Haro's jurisdiction, in my opinion. So
I have a question.
Okay, Sean.
This is for Teresa. Since we're still on agenda item 2, were we supposed to address a failure to obtain a permit for Justin Maria?
Yes, so that would be the same situation about the application. Do you want an application for that?
Yeah, I think, does somebody want to make a motion on that? Or before that, do we want to have discussion about that?
Sure.
Does anyone have?
We already had a motion, a second, and a pass on the agenda item 2. That's it. Applies to the whole lot.
Okay, but that item was actually not mentioned in the motion. That party was not mentioned in the motion.
The only thing I can say, and I don't know if this covers it, is the only thing I can say is I specifically said agenda item 2, and I listed the 3 things, did not list the other 2. So if we want to make a separate motion on that, Teresa, is that the correct thing to do?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we can discuss it and then make a motion. Does anyone want to discuss the murals, the Justin Maria mural? Okay. So Sean and then Yvette. Okay, Sean.
I have firsthand experience with this particular the latter 2 points on this agenda item 2. I was in the Gulch, as you all know, and the individual that did the mural on the side of the building, they painted on historic brick. There is no paint over that brick, and it is in the commercial district. So having said that, I believe that it would be a very good thing and in our benefit, because the artist that is doing this is notorious for just putting art up on buildings, and it is a contentious subject within the community of Bisbee, and it was done without a permit, and I believe that we as a board have to make a stance going forward, as Yvette has said, and I believe that we should obtain a permit, and put in an application for the mural at 54 Brewery Avenue.
Okay, Yvette, did you want to talk?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused because I thought that when somebody was in violation for any reason, they simply get it notified that they're in violation, and then they have to go through the proper channels like applying and filling out a permit. So I'm confused as to why we're voting on it when it seems like it normally, that person is just informed of their violation and then they have to go through the proper channels. So I'm just confused as to why the board is voting on whether or not they go through the proper channels when it seems like they obviously must if there's not a document already in place.
Yeah, so they were informed that they needed to complete an application and they have not. So you could move on to a discussion about fees and fines, actually.
A design review board application is the point, not just a permit. They're supposed to go to the design review board for the review of the design.
And so when this says 2 times the original permit, what we're really talking about is whether or not we are making a motion to charge them 2 times the permit fee and 2 times the application fee. Is that correct?
Or if you want to fine them for painting on raw brick. That can also be the discussion.
Okay, and again, I don't know if I'm missing information from my packet, but and maybe I was absent that day, but I don't have complete information regarding what was painted at 54 Brewery Avenue currently, and that may just be me that's missing the information. So,
Well, that would be part of the application that would come to one of your regular meetings.
And question?
Yes, Sean?
Teresa, according to zoning code, if the board agrees that we should fine for painting on the brick,
Yes.
the maximum is up to $750. Am I correct?
It's actually up to $2,500 now.
It is, okay, $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, is this just a fine, or is there an option to have them sandblast that off?
There would be that option, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think muriatic acid will be better. Sandblasting will further destroy the brick outer layer surface, but same idea. Yeah, sandblasting could ruin the brick and structural integrity of the brick, which is why we restrict painting brick in the first place, so we don't damage it. It's structural and it's aesthetic. Okay, so we've had a discussion. Does somebody want to make a motion on the Justin Luria murals?
Sure.
Okay, Sean?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion on agenda item 2 for the Justin Maria murals for failure to put in an application to the DRB for 2 times the original application. Also, failure to obtain a permit 2 times the original permit. I would also, in that motion, like to see the building acid washed. And a $500 fine.
Before somebody seconds, I have a question for Teresa. Can we just arbitrarily set the fine?
Actually, you can decide what the severity is, what you feel the severity of the, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? I would like to modify it to remove acid wash and let the person decide what to do. But just remove that part, because maybe part of the application they get approval for the mural and they don't need to acid wash it. It's just my modifier. Sean, if you'd be willing to modify that part.
Sure. So what do you want?
So I'm just saying the fee or the fine, and also they should get a DRB applications for the mural.
So remove the fine?
No,
remove the acid
remove
wash.
the acid wash, because
remove the acid wash?
Yeah, because
okay.
If they're applying for a DRB application, they might get approved, and then they don't need to acid wash that off.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be able to, because it's historic brick and it's not painted, so we would never be able to allow that in the first place.
Well, then we would decide that at that meeting.
Okay. So let's make a motion.
Because they're not here. They're not here to, give evidence or talk at all. So,
all right. So, make a motion for failure to obtain a permit 2 times the original permit amount, failure to submit a DRB application 2 times the amount, and a penalty of $500.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? No nays. That motion passes. I think we are now done with agenda item 2. Before we go to agenda item 3, is there any last comments? Non-motion comments? Okay. So let's go to agenda item 3, discussion regarding zoning code article 7.8 murals in the historic district. And this is zoning code 7.8 murals in the historic district design review board to adopt guidelines for murals on commercial properties within the historic district. These guidelines for murals in the historic district are formulated as a means of ensuring the continued visual aesthetic of the historic district while allowing for creative expression in approximate locations and designs. Also on here, City Code Article 2.9, Bisbee Arts Commission, to act in as advisory commission to the mayor and council on art, cultural activities in the city, prepare and submit to the city manager a proposal for annual budget, fiscal year, develop and make recommendations to the mayor and council on ways to best promote the arts and cultural enrichment of the city, set priorities for the planned development of arts, cultural activities in the city, and raise a level of awareness in the involvement of all residents in the preservation, enhancement, and enjoyment of culture, the arts, and the arts in the city. Just a couple more things. In 2017, the DRB worked on the guidelines for murals before it went into Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning passed it unanimously and was brought before Mayor and Council on November 7th, 2017. Second reading was done November 21st, 2017. In 2018, the Bisbee Arts Commission had a discussion regarding the approval process for public art in public spaces. On November 5th, 2018, the commission stated that they would need to get with the design review board regarding, but that was never brought back up. The Bisbee Arts Commission didn't have the authority over what murals are done or artists that were used in the historic district. That goes before the design review board for their approval using guidelines that were approved on November 21st, 2017, Ordinance 017-14. It would be good to look at Ordinance 017-14. And trying to find if that's in here.
Yes.
Can I just ask, where in the zoning code is it about murals now? What's the zoning code number?
7.8.
7.8.1.
Thank you.
Ben, could I make a comment? Having read Article 7.8 in its entirety, and I think our discussion was that last time we weren't really aware of what our role was on murals, and I think this makes it pretty clear. And my proposal would be that we should reference 7.8, Article 7.8, in Chapter 4 of the proposed design guidelines, so that it ties them together.
It's not actually on the website in the zoning code. There, it stops at 7.7, so nobody can see it.
Andrew, I don't want to disagree. I found it today.
Really? Well,
the website,
looking at the index, maybe it's just not in the index.
No, in fairness to you, it took a lot of looking.
You know, do you have the page number?
I don't know. All I can say
Peter,
is I can
if it's not incredibly long, because I don't see it in front of me, would you be able to read that 7.8.1?
7.8.1. It's 7.8.1.2, 3, 4, and then it's a page and a half.
It's a big read. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Happy
It
to
looks
read
like it's pages 41 and 42 in the zoning code.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it makes it pretty clear that the ball is in our court as far as murals are concerned. And I think our discussion was leaning towards, well, we push some of this responsibility onto the Arts Commission, and this makes it pretty clear. So my proposal would be, and this sort of morphed into our next item on the agenda of the about the guidelines, but I would like to see that Article 7.8 referenced in the design guidelines. I think and that might raise some other things that we ought to cross-reference a bit more, perhaps, in the design guidelines. I'm not saying that I've gone through it meticulously, but that was what jumped out. So we don't miss these things quite
right.
that sometimes in the past.
Yeah, like I'm definitely guilty of not knowing these things. Peter?
I'm sorry, Ben, your
Is there like
gone.
a very brief summary of 7.8.1 you could say, like a couple of
Sure.
sentences?
Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up.
I'll read 7.8.1, which is purpose. The article is entitled Murals in the Historic District. And 7.8.1 is purpose. City of Bisbee's Design and Review Board. Actually, that's a misprint, isn't it? City of Bisbee's Design Review Board to adopt guidelines for murals on commercial properties within the historic district. These guidelines for murals in the historic district were formulated as a means of ensuring the continued visual aesthetic of the historic district while allowing for creative expression in appropriate locations and designs. The established review criteria provide guidance concerning the compatibility and appropriateness of the placement, massing, scale, and materials of mural art with minimal intrusion into the artistic expression and content of the work. Murals and other similar forms of visual art can both add or detract from the character of a building, structure, or district based on their location, size, shape, color palette, materials used, and relationship to historic context. And then 7.8.2 is review criteria, 7.8.3 mural art versus signage, and then 7.8.4 is guidelines, which is about a full page. And it covers materials, design, location, and so on. I mean, I have to read it, but I think we should all individually, before we finally vote on the new guidelines, we should all take a look at it and say, yeah, that makes sense. Or we should say, hell no, we're not going to touch it. Personally, I think it's reasonable. And though I don't really want to be an arbiter of art because I'm an engineer, I think it's not unreasonable for the DRB to take it on. And apparently there's a fair amount of time put in by the DRB before I joined. It must have been just before I joined. Maybe Stefan can weigh in on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, this discussion's been going on, well, probably close on 6 years. So it takes that long to get to where we are.
Right.
Which is confusion, yeah. Sean?
Yeah. I actually had I've had a lot of conversations with Ken Dodge, two with Michael McPartland, previous board members on this very topic. And one of the things that may have gotten dropped out of the conversation when this ordinance was first adopted, was looping in the BAC on the actual merit of the art content. Having said that, Karen and I had a conversation today, the chairman of the BAC, and I know that she's going to put it on agenda for the next meeting to start a process to, in conjunction with the DRB, to strictly for the art content. And then we would still have these normal zoning codes that we are under with the mural. When I spoke to, so I got the background from everybody on it. When I spoke to Ken Butts today, he said, "Hey, if there's something that you guys want to change, that
you're breaking up,
working,
Sean. Okay, here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. When I spoke to Ken today, he did say, hey, if there's some stuff in there that you guys want to change or adopt, he said visit it. And it's definitely a subject and a topic can be improved upon if we see something better. So I definitely think this is the opportunity to make that happen.
I'd like to speak for just a second, and then I would, I think we're kind of in agreement on a lot of things about the lack of clarity about, okay, zoning has their things. I think we really need to cross-reference and adopt. And also, just a side note to Teresa, our website, I know there's been a lot of efforts to clean it up, but there's still an incredible amount of older documents that are still on there that need to be taken down, because what happens, even somebody like me, they go on there, they find an older document that's been updated, but the old one's still on there, and they think that's the latest one. Or something's in the wrong folder, the wrong location, it's not visible, wrong order. So I think we need like a really deep, clean, deep sweep of the website, and also that file server in there too that some people know about, some people don't, right? And just make sure to remove all of the old stuff that's not relevant, or at least if that's not legal to do, have it in a very specific thing that says this is archived, this is old, it's out of date, but it's here for public record. So that's just my suggestion.
Yeah, so Ben, the most helpful thing is if you find something like that, to let us know, because sometimes stuff will show up in a search that takes folks to an old website, and we need to figure out, like, why are they going to an old website for an old version of the document. So if you find one, let us know, then we can track it down. But otherwise, yes, they have worked very hard to clean that up.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak on this?
I just went to the website and I pulled up a link, and I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong place, but it says that it's the 1998 version, updated 2019, but then I wasn't able to find 7.8. So I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong place or at the wrong document, or if there's an older version that's still available on the City of Bisbee website. But I don't
Peter,
think I
you
have
said,
a copy of the current zoning code.
I think Teresa, didn't you say it was page 44?
So I show the 06-2019 update of the Bisbee zoning code 1998, page 41.
41.
So
Yeah, I found it on the page, and it's the one I quoted from about signs, murals versus signs. But can I ask a question? I'm wondering what prompted this to be on the agenda? What is there a specific issue that someone pointed out?
There's been a lot of issues. The last meeting on
Well,
a different mural.
And what?
Well, yeah, what really is the issue is that we're still adopting new updated guidelines. And so we want to make sure that we're going through with a fine-tooth comb. So that's the main issue. That's
Oh, okay.
why this is up, because this is basically the last thing that's still causing a lot of frustration and confusion for everyone on the board and the public, like you and Cynthia. So, you know, we should really clarify things.
Well, I'm not confused. I think it's very clear. So I'm curious, what is the confusion? What is specifically is actually causing anyone confusion?
Well, that these, which affect what the DRB does, is not in the DRB guidelines, like printed also in the other document.
Oh, okay. So it's the other DRB guidelines that they don't have the same information between the two.
Yeah, I think it's good to reference another document, but for anyone that's an applicant, if they're going in front of the DRB, they should only have to pull up that thing right there. You know, I understand that, you know, when you pull a building permit, you have to know what all the IBC 2018 or 2012 is. Sure, that's fine. You can't possibly fit all of that in the building codes, but this is you know, more simple.
I mean, typically, Andrew, we like to address aesthetics, but this somehow got lost in the mix, and it was, I mean, it's pretty clearly stated in the zoning code, but we had no direct link to it that was obvious, and so I think a lot of us missed it.
So, you know, what occurs to me, I mean, I believe Yvette was bringing up all the existing signs or murals, I mean, and some of them are for old businesses, you know, ancient, that don't exist anymore. And, you know, it seems to me that there's a lot of murals that are obviously just murals, they're purely art. And there's murals that are obviously signs. I mean, there's, you know, the old fair building, that's not a mural. That's a sign. It's not a mural.
So I just want to add that, Andrew, I think you were here for agenda item 2. Agenda item 3 is really only for us on the board to discuss.
There was no sign-in sheet, you know. Do I have to actually write a letter on something?
I mean, I don't mind, but I think legally speaking, I mean, you should apply to the DRB.
I was curious what the procedure was to speak at these things, because there is no sign-in sheet. Normally, you go to the meeting, right? You sign in.
Yeah, and you sign in for a particular agenda item. So, but it's really, I think you were here for agenda item 2. So,
well, no, I'm here for the whole thing. Actually, I saw it on the agenda, and that's why I'm still here.
Okay.
You know, it's pertinent to what the agenda item I was mostly interested in. So yeah, I don't want you now to change it to something that all of a sudden pulls the rug out from under what I believe is the proper position.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could come in, Stephen Green. I think what we're talking about here is that there are ordinances and regulations covering a lot of things that have happened in Bisbee, but it's never been properly enforced. And now we're in a situation where we have some quite flagrant neglect on the part of the city to actually address these things, and time's gone by. So we need to modify our decision-making process so that we're in line with what is actually happening in front of us. So the whole discussion about whether the Arts Commission could be involved on murals is something that hasn't really been addressed in the past, and maybe we should, going forward, we should have some firm decisions made, and then once we've made them, we keep to it and enforce those decisions.
Yes. that said, is there any other discussion, or does somebody actually want to make a motion um, about how we want to move forward with this item?
The only thing motion I
Do
would,
we have to make a motion, or is this just an item for discussion? Because I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, this was a discussion item.
Okay.
uh,
All right,
And if-
conclusion. It's fine.
the only motion I would make is to include reference of Article 7.8 in the guidelines, but we can discuss that with the next article, with the
Perfect.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I would agree with that we just advise for updating the guidelines to include the verbiage of 7.8.1 through 0.4, right? So that there's clarity between what are we doing and what is the Bisbee Arts Commission doing, what we're doing.
So you
So,
want to
Ben,
add 7.8.1 to the design review board guidelines?
Yes.
Say, reference that.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I don't know if we have room for the entire thing, but we can definitely make reference and also maybe shorten it or reword it so it's a paragraph or a column and it's clear and concise. And it could say, for more detail, reference this. But I would prefer the whole thing just goes in there and it's a subject with a heading, and that's my conclusion to this.
If we want to do a section about murals in the guidelines itself, it looks like on page 30 of the draft that was just published to us for this meeting, it looks like there's at least 2 full columns of space that could be devoted to murals.
And actually, public art starts on page 32.
On 32?
Yeah.
Hey, Teresa, one quick question. Have you noticed at the top of every single page, it says glossary?
Oh, did it do that on every page?
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Can I just ask, what are you referencing? I mean, where is it on the website? What are you looking for exactly?
No, it's a document in process.
Is there a way to get it, to see it?
Request it from Nina Williams.
Okay. What's it called?
Development Standards for Historic District.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Nina's going to be horrified, Sean.
Is she?
Sorry, Nina.
Gives her grief. Gives her grief.
Okay, I think we have a pretty good conclusion to this agenda item. And I believe we've pretty much wrapped in agenda item 4 into that as well too, right?
Yeah. Did everybody check this to see if the things that we've discussed have been added? I know that I focused diligently on our first 2 agenda items or 3 agenda items, and didn't have the absolute time to devote to going through the guidelines. So I was wondering if anybody else had a chance to go through it and see if everything we've been discussing is on there.
I've gone through a little bit of it, and I'm seeing that we're missing several of the comments that Yvette had made that were good. So I don't know.
Would you send those, Linda, would you send those to Nina, please?
Okay, the only thing that I see that absolutely needs to change right now is that first page where it says Bisbee Design Review Board is take Frank Davies out, put Ben Luckley in there, and then add Scott Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Would you send her that comment, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Now, one thing did you get the piece about vending machines and literature racks?
Oh, yeah, I have a note right in front of me too. Is that specifically for ice machines? Because I saw Joe's note on the email.
I think he doesn't want to limit it to ice machines. But he's saying, could we mention ice vending? Because small bags of ice are not exactly small scale items. So it's not vending a small scale item because a bag of ice is not small.
So
is what I understand.
So does he want ice vending machines or not?
Well,
Some that's in there somehow.
I think that's your discussion about the aesthetic.
Yeah, I think to me it ties in with the advertisements for one. Like the ATM machine company actually went before us and asked for permission to change out their vinyl wrapping, which was kind of amazing. They did that, but the vending machine is no different than the ice machine is no different than the ATM or a newspaper stand, or in some instances, it's an appliance like a satellite dish or an AC unit sticking out of a window. So I think, yeah, it should be added. That's my take on that.
I would agree.
So would you like us to add this in for?
Ice and any
and
of those
vending.
sorts of things, like
Okay.
and the other thing is the natural gas, the propane tank things. I mean, we're not going to go and complain to Circle K after the fact because we can't, because it's a new thing, but going forward.
Okay. Oh, I got you. Those propane cylinders.
Well, I'm just broadening the discussion to all of these things that
Okay.
are vending items sitting on the sidewalk that also act as billboards.
Yeah. Okay.
But obviously these are new items, so we can't really adjudicate anything that's pre-existing. It's my opinion. I'd have to talk to an attorney on that. But
Okay. So, Sean, are you suggesting that the DRB take a look at this on another date?
I think so, because we've got now Nina's got to fix the glossary. We're going to add the vending machine. There's some comments that Linda's going to send in from Ben that's not on there. I noticed that we got the trash dumpsters, satellite dishes. I don't think I saw anything about the AC units. That I think, and Ben just brought that up again.
Okay.
Maybe we put the AC units after the trash barrels and dumpsters on page 30.
Okay.
Because we've got satellite dishes on page 29. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but that just seems kind of like a good chronological.
makes sense. And
Okay.
we've got dumpsters
And also I'm sorry. Also, Teresa, some reference to Article 7.8 under public.
Yeah.
I mean,
Peter, would you be okay if I work with Sean reworking that paragraph on page 2?
Absolutely. Absolutely
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
And maybe we can work it in there, Sean?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look at it tomorrow, and I'll
Okay.
give you a call and give you suggestions.
Okay, early, well, okay, yeah, try calling me.
Not early. I've got meetings all morning. Are you kidding?
Okay. I think Yvette wants to say something.
I have just one comment on a positive note. I did check the glossary at the back to see if the page numbers, if you could actually find those topics on those pages, and it all worked out. So
Great. Thank you.
Would you send that to, would you send
Thank you for doing that.
Nina?
Thank you for doing
Let
that
Nina
work.
know that
That's
too.
a lot of work.
She got it.
That's the
Okay.
hard
Sean,
work.
I'm glad you brought up the glossary note, because I was going to go back and look at another copy and see if it was supposed to have that across the top, and I didn't get around to it, so I'm glad you caught it too.
All right. Awesome.
Okay. All right. I think, does that conclude agenda item 4? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion, a second. All in favor?
Is that Stephen?
Yes.
Scott.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Motion, a second. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
Gotcha.
If I'm counting that first, I'm doing good.
Okay, thank you.